Migration, mobility across the world. Many children now are born to parents of different nationalities or different cultures, and parents move across the world to different countries. Now, if their relationship breaks down, one parent may remove children either back to their country of origin or another country without the other parent's consent. And as you know, this causes immense problems, legal, social, emotional, psychological problems for the families concerned, and perhaps especially for the children who don't know what is happening or where they're going to live, sometimes for more than a year. Sometimes they're even removed from both parents and put with foster parents. Really traumatic for children in this situation. So International Social Service, which has offices and contacts all over the world, is publishing a new guide to international family mediation for parents and for professionals. It will be available on their website, so far in French and English, but they want it to be available in other languages too, including Russian. And by all means, copy this down if you want to. If you want more information, if you're interested in international cross-border family mediation, then do contact the International Social Service, and the editor of this guide has given her personal email address. By all means, take this down if you want. And I think the guide is very user-friendly because it has colourful graphics, commonly asked questions on the left-hand side, quotations from parents who use mediation, and clear information on the right-hand side. And I think it's a really useful document. And the ISS is also working and wanting to build a network of family mediators with specialist training in international cross-border mediation so that we can contact each other across the world. This is another child's picture of what war is like. War in a family can feel like this too. And family mediators provide a buttress to families that are being shaken, as if by an earthquake. If parents and children get support at times of major change and crisis, they need not collapse in ruins. So family mediators need to understand family dynamics, family structures, and the importance of attachment and loss. Now, mediation is often talked about as though it was just one homogeneous mixture that it's good for you to take. Those of you who know Alice in Wonderland may remember that when she went down the rabbit hole, she found a bottle on the table, and the bottle said, "Drink me." And she looked at this bottle, and it didn't say poison, so she decided to drink it. And I think it's a bit like that with mediation. It doesn't say poison, we tell people to drink it, to take it. But actually, what is inside is not all the same. There are different kinds of family mediation. And I don't think parents really know what kind of mediation they're going to get. It may be structured mediation, if the mediators have been trained in the structured Fisher and Urey model, which many of you, I'm sure, know. Or it may be more transformative, or it may be narrative. And mediators who've been trained in only one of these models tend to stick with that model. In fact, Folger and Bush, who wrote the text on transformative mediation, said it's impossible to combine structured and transformative mediation. I'm not convinced. I personally use another model which I call ecosystemic, which is not a very friendly word. It means family-focused, because the other three well-known models actually were not designed for family mediation. They're actually designed for other kinds of mediation. And I think we need a family-oriented model which is not only family systems, but also connections between families and the legal system and wider social systems, economic systems, social welfare systems. So in a sense, I think family mediators, if they understand these wider systems, I think we not only mediate between family members, but at another level, we mediate between private decision-making by families, especially parents, and wider systems, like the family justice system. Because if the family is able to reach their own agreements, they don't need a judge to make decisions for them. So I think we support private family decision-making to reduce the need for other systems or authority to intrude, if you like, on family decision-making. And the key characteristics are communication, competence, and collaboration. And I think there are certain foundations that are needed for family mediation to really work in practice. I think we do need legislation that defines what family mediation is and the role that it can play in the wider family justice system as a service for families, not a service for the court, but a service for families. But that also helps the courts indirectly, but it isn't there to serve the court. I think that's really important, because sometimes judges think mediators are there to serve them, but I think we're there to help families. But we need the support of judges. We need judges understanding and support. And in England, our family judges receive training in mediation so they understand it better. And this year there's been a new guide issued to all family court judges and magistrates explaining the role of mediation and what mediators actually do to encourage them to refer family members to mediation when they think it's appropriate. Although most of the parents we see come before they go to court, which I can explain if we have time. And clearly there's also need for financial support. And we do have financial support in England and Wales through the legal aid system, so that parents on low incomes can receive mediation free of charge. I'm sure you all know GPS navigation. Yeah, global positioning system, yes. Well, it struck me that we need to use something similar in family mediation. And I tried this in Italian. First of all, to assess, is mediation suitable? It's very important to assess, screen, whether there has been violence, child abuse, risks, whether mediation is suitable in the circumstances. And I saw in the paper today that another woman has been killed, just in today's paper, by her husband because she wanted to leave him. He murdered her. So we need to be trained in understanding and assessing situations of family violence, child abuse, and any risks before we go ahead and encourage people to take part in mediation. Because the is just a possibility. It could increase risks instead of reducing them. So that's why I put traffic lights, red light, first of all. Is mediation safe and suitable? If it is, and sometimes there are amber lights, but there isn't time to describe and talk about when the lights are on amber. Let's just say they're going green, and you need to plan the process of mediation, which for me means not just using one fixed model, but thinking about which model is going to be most appropriate and fit the needs of this particular family. And you need to design, structure the process and each session to take account of the needs, the priorities, the type of issues or dispute, the level of conflict. And it isn't just consecutive, the lights. I think you actually need to keep them in your head all the time, because you may need to reassess suitability of mediation in the middle of the process, because things happen. So it's like keeping these traffic lights in your head, I think, all the time. A few more minutes. No. 10. Just to say a little bit more about what I mean by ecosystemic mediation. Family systems, holistic, not just individuals. The concept of old and new families, families in transition, moving from one family structure to another, family relationships and communications, and very importantly, the feelings, needs, and views of children. And this bit goes into Spanish. It's thinking about the family as a whole, and to have a map of the family in your head, or maybe on a flip chart, and to focus on co-parental relationships and concerns, and to separate the conflicts in the couple relationship from the importance of continuing parental cooperation and working together for children, and including children in the process, indirectly or directly. A boy of 15 in another study said, because we are people too, and we shouldn't be treated as inferior just because we're young. I think children deserve as much respect as those who call themselves adults. And many children, I think, experience that their parents, argue like children sometimes, and they become parents. So the principles are: separation doesn't end being a parent, parental responsibility continues, and in our law we use the term parental responsibility, not custody, not authority, but parental responsibility. Child-parent relationships need support, and children, if they want, need to have a voice and be heard. Now this is what I call an ecogram, or I think you call it a Familia, yeah? Which is different from a classic genealogram, those of you who are family therapists. I think the main difference for me is that there are two lines here between Fabio and Sarah, between the couple. The top line is the marital couple relationship. The second line is the line that connects them as parents. And very often, the conflicts and emotions on the top line get mixed up with the second line. And I think our task is to help parents separate those out and focus on the second line in mediation. And I find it helps parents in mediation just to say, it's very difficult to deal with ending your relationship as a couple while continuing to work together as parents. And many parents say, that's true, and we've never thought about it like that before. So actually just recognizing it has value. And in this rectangle, it's where all the concerns and love and issues concerning children fit in this. And both parents need to hold their end of the line, because if they drop it, the children fall. And I think you can use this kind of design in working with parents, but I would say carefully, because I wouldn't want to put this on a flip chart where Fabio has to sit looking at Sarah living with Luigi. I would only use, if you like, the nuclear family if I'm working directly with them. You have to be very careful. But if you are wanting to understand the family structure, then you can draw it as you want, and you can put in more information about the legal process, whether they're involved in legal process, or other information. And just one comment, this was drawn for me by an Italian colleague, and the lines around Sara, Luigi and Cristina should be a dotted line. It shouldn't be a closed line, because it needs to be open so that the parents, Fabio and Sara, can discuss arrangements for their daughter, Cristina. So it's not a closed line. So when you draw it, don't do a closed line. Okay? This picture comes from the first International Family Mediation Conference in France in 1990, I think it was. And I really like this picture because it just shows parents who refuse to talk to each other. And the birds in the nest, what's happening? They don't know. And the family mediator may be the only person who is actually in contact with both parents. Each parent may have a lawyer or counsellor or support from their family, but the family mediator may be the only person who is actually engaging and talking with both parents and helping them to turn around and talk to each other. This comes from another English study about shared residence, which emphasises the fundamental importance of giving attention to the needs of children. And this researcher recognises, and the same has been found in Australia, that if some parents decide 50-50 is fair, 50-50, children can spend 1 week with you, 1 week with me, that's fine, it's fair. It's not necessarily fine or fair for children. Children may have strong feelings about this. Teenagers may strongly resent being told how their lives are going to be split. So we really need to be careful, I think, not to just assume that if parents agree something, some division of a child's time, that works well for children, because it doesn't necessarily work well for children. What matters is the quality of parents' relationship with each other and the quality of the parents' relationship with each child. That's what matters for children. And flexibility, because as they get older, their activities change, their friendships change, and they want parents to take account of these things. Not simply to say, you're going every weekend to your father, when either he plays in a football match, or she has swimming or ballet. She wants her parents to take notice of that. So, family mediators need imagination, empathy, and creativity. And just very quickly, I think an important study, if you don't know it, which is a 12-year follow-up study. It's the only one I know that followed up parents 12 years later who had taken part in family mediation. And they found that 28% of parents who didn't live with their children were continuing to see their children once a week or more 12 years later, compared with 9% of parents who had gone to court and litigated over children. That's a very big difference. And they also found that 52% of the non-residential parents who had taken part in mediation said they talked with their children at least once every week, once a week or more, compared with 14% who had litigated through the court. It's a very, very big difference. I chose a palm tree as a symbol of family mediation because palm trees can withstand heat and family mediation can involve a lot of heat. And trees have branches, and I think the family mediation tree needs to have a branch, a code of ethics, competence, family systems, conflict management, cooperation, communication, and growth. And the rings on our palm tree show the rings of growth, don't they? They show the tree growing, which is what family mediation needs to do. Because in each ending, there can be a new beginning. And this picture comes from a colleague of mine, Asla, in Milan. And I showed with her permission, and that's again a reason she said, please don't give it away. It was drawn by her son, actually many years ago, and I like it very much because it shows this little boy. He was 8 when he drew this. He's now grown up. It shows, he wasn't experiencing divorce, he just understood mediation. And he showed a child walking happily, thumbs up, between two homes, with the parents watching and taking care of him, and the sun is shining, and it shows that psychologically a child could move between two homes, and that's what we're trying to achieve in mediation. And so I think mediation is also like a flower that has all these different blossoms, different kinds of areas in which it's continuing to flower. And I wish you well for your continuing work to make mediation blossom in your country and in your field of mediation. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, querida Lisa, por tu magnífica intervención, que nos ha ilustrado tanto, y que luego las preguntas que formularán el público seguro que nos podrá seguir ilustrando. Paso a continuación a presentar a otra gran colega. Cuando le he pedido que se me presente, hemos tenido la oportunidad de que una buena amiga que le conoce se ha ofrecido y ha dicho, déjame que voy a hablar por ti. Así que esto es lo que tiene el tener buenos amigos, que además a uno le conocen y pueden decir aquello que no nos atreveríamos nosotros.
¿Y ella tiene el pelo así? Sí, no.
Eso no se dice. Bien, me han dicho, por lo tanto, de Silvia Sayar, que es una terapeuta de familia, mediadora familiar y comunitaria, que tiene 2 hijos, Colette y Juan Manuel, y 5 nietos. Es maestra en formación, en el saber vivir, y como formadora tiene el ingenio de escenificar situaciones arduas para asegurar el aprendizaje. Es decir, una mujer valiente que se atreve a ponerse en riesgo también para que los alumnos aprovechen al máximo. En la vida, me han dicho, tiene la calidad, que a veces es un defecto, de cuidar a las personas que quieren. Y algo muy particular, es capaz de recorrer toda una calle bailando al sonido de la música que sale de los comercios. Seguramente quien me ha hablado de ella la conoce muy bien. Y cuando yo le he preguntado a Silvia qué es lo más importante de tu experiencia en mediación familiar, ella me ha dicho que poder modificar el entorno de su vida familiar, lo que le ha permitido valorar más la vida y apostar por los métodos alternos, porque dice que los siente como derechos humanos y que por ello los potencia. Le pregunté también por un sueño y me dice que todas las amas de casa de cada hogar del mundo fueran mediadoras familiares. Así que tienen con ustedes a Silvia para seguir trabajando mediación familiar. Adelante, Silvia.
Gracias, Leti. Es un honor estar en esta mesa acompañada de estas personalidades como es Lisa, Parkinson, como Leti, que hemos tenido la fortuna de compartir en otros momentos algunos talleres de mediación familiar. Y también me ha tocado compartir la mesa con grandes mediadoras del mundo como me ha tocado estar con Marinés Suárez en esta canción. Se le extraña. Quiero comentarles que tuve la oportunidad de realizar 2 talleres. Lisa, me acabo de acordar que me pediste que andara muy despacio para poderme comprender, porque no va a utilizar audífono. Tuve la oportunidad de realizar 2 talleres, uno en Colonia y otro aquí en Génova, y la verdad es que la experiencia que me queda uno después de los talleres es interminable. Y te queda ese sabor tan agradable de querer continuar, de querer permanecer, esos lazos que empiezan a crecer entre los alumnos y nosotros los facilitadores, que realmente lo he gozado mucho. He tenido las manifestaciones de afecto y me han permitido también manifestarles el afecto que se generó en esta dinámica. Por ello, muchas gracias a todos. Agradezco a Mara y a Danilo, excelentes anfitriones, igual a Jorge y a Graciela, por seguir teniendo la confianza y la fe en este movimiento pacificador que atañe a todos. Y que aún en el 10º Congreso Mundial de Mediación me hayan permitido participar de nuevo para contar mis experiencias en la mediación familiar. Ahora tengo tantas experiencias como años, es decir, tengo muchas experiencias. Y verdaderamente que los nuevos retos de la mediación familiar nos han llevado a verificar esta evolución que ha tenido la familia. Cuando la familia nosotros la concebimos como un sistema que se mueve, que se transforma, que cambia, que igualmente tiene periodos de homeostasis, pero al final nos damos cuenta que el sistema familiar cambia, se transforma, y de repente como que eso lo olvidamos y no lo tomamos en cuenta. Y a mí me llama la atención cuando a la pareja se le pregunta más o menos en qué periodo del ciclo vital de familia se encuentra, y hay una reflexión profunda porque no pueden definir. De repente se nos olvida que cambiamos y que las cosas tienen que ir a ese ritmo, a ese cambio tan vertiginoso que tenemos ahora con los sistemas de información. Por todo ello, la familia cambia, y por ese motivo nosotros hemos considerado que el paradigma de la mediación familiar estará enmarcado siempre desde la formación de mediadores, primero con el enfoque sistémico, segundo la parte del sistema de colaboración, la negociación asociativa, y en este sentido, con este marco de referencia, analizamos la naturaleza del conflicto en un sistema familiar. Cuando un mediador se prepara con esas habilidades para poder identificar la naturaleza del conflicto, posiblemente ya estemos del otro lado, aun siendo los terceros neutrales en ese encuentro de mediación. Quiero señalar también que una de las cosas que nosotros hemos cuidado en la formación de mediadores en el sistema familiar está relacionado con el desarrollo de habilidades sociocognitivas. Es decir, si nosotros desarrollamos habilidades para poder comprender la dinámica del conflicto, entonces es mucho más fácil poder realizar ese papel de tercero neutral, que es el puente comunicacional entre las dos partes que están en conflicto. Habilidades sociocognitivas como, por ejemplo, desarrollar la empatía y modelar la empatía, desarrollar una forma de dialogar diferente, ser más asertivos en la comunicación, tomar en cuenta el enfoque sistémico de la comunicación, como es la aplicación de los axiomas de la comunicación humana. Cuando tenemos la habilidad de ser tolerantes, pacientes, humildes, y cuando empezamos a construir ese perfil del mediador, nosotros lo vemos tan inalcanzable a veces, pero cuando estamos en el momento de la verdad, que es el encuentro de una mediación, nos damos cuenta cuánto nos sirven esas habilidades y que sí las podemos desarrollar. Es todo un capítulo muy interesante, el desarrollo de habilidades cognitivas, que tiene que formar parte de ese marco de referencia que debe tener un mediador familiar. El día de ayer en el foro de familia, en donde algunos de ustedes participaron, había la inquietud de uno de los participantes que decía: ¿a qué horas tendré que empezar a mediar? Porque cada vez